What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Max Lowco Recap. We're back. First one of the new year. Happy New Year to everyone. January 4th, 2026. We got quite a few things to talk about. We got the ticker going down below with scores from the past weekend. We'll start off with some high school basketball. Obviously, had a couple games for women's basketball on Saturday. May River at Battery Creek. Don't have a score for that, unfortunately. Savannah Country Day at Hilton Head Christian. If I'm not mistaken, that was a, let me see here. I can't find it. I believe Hilton Head Christian lost to Savannah Country Day at home. I believe it wasn't a close one. Let me check. I don't have the score now. Hold on here. $59-37 was the final score in favor of Savannah Country Day. And then on Friday, we had a few games. Stratford at Colleton County. Girls basketball took the win there. It's an impressive girls basketball team at Colleton County. Savannah Christian at Hilton Head Prep. Hilton Head Prep destroyed Savannah Christian, or at least that's according to Max Preps. 47-19, I think, was the final score. So, yeah, interesting game there. Let's see. Battery Creek at Hampton County on Friday. Do not have a score for that game either. Battery Creek has not put up any of those scores. Neither is Hampton County. Boys basketball, Stratford at Colleton County. I believe boys basketball did lose to Stratford. If I can find it here. Sorry, I did not update the scores on our group chat page. Let's see here. Not sure where it is. Hold on, let me get it up here. Oh, there was no score of that game, or at least not on Max Preps. I haven't seen any scores for that one. So yeah, so there's no score for that boys game between Colleton County and Stratford. Yeah, and then the other game, the Australian national team was playing May River on Friday night. May River won, I believe, by quite a big score. Get it up here. 74-25 was the final score. That May River team is no joke, by the way. Really strong team. And then, excuse me. And then, so that's pretty much it for those games over the weekend. Upcoming games this week for high school basketball. On Monday, only 2 games. Beaufort at Stall for both girls and boys basketball. Intrigued to see how Beaufort does. Stall's not been very good in girls basketball this year, but they are pretty solid in boys basketball, or usually are. So we'll see how those 2 games go. Tuesday, we got quite a few more games. Bluffton at Hilton Head Christian. That's both girls and boys basketball. Hilton Head Prep at May River. That's both girls and boys basketball. Bridges Prep at Whale Branch. Again, both girls and boys. Ridgeland at Denmark Olar. Again, both girls and boys. That's a region matchup between those 2 teams, Ridgeland and Denmark Olar. See how Ridgeland handles Denmark Olar, because it will give me an idea of what Hardyville could do against that Denmark Olar team. And then one other game, girls basketball game only, cross schools at Habersham on Tuesday. Wednesday, Bishop England at Hilton Head for both girls and boys basketball. That's the first region matchup for Hilton Head for the season, so should be very interesting. That Bishop England girls basketball team is no joke, so I'm intrigued to see how the Hilton Head girls team does. Bluffton, this one's interesting. This could be a very, very good game for boys basketball, but it's both girls and boys. Bluffton at Orangeburg Wilkinson. ODub's a really solid men's basketball team, so I'm intrigued to see how Bluffton handles that. It's a good challenge for them. JP2 at St. Andrews, that's just girls basketball. And then Holy Trinity at Cross Schools is also just girls basketball. Nothing on Thursday. Then on Friday, we have a list of games here. Hilton Head at Bluffton for girls and boys basketball. That's going to be huge, huge game there. Big region matchup. Beaufort at Colleton, another region matchup, both girls and boys. Bishop England at May River, which will be very interesting to see how May River handles Bishop England, both girls and boys basketball. Oceanside at Battery Creek for their first region matchup. That could be very interesting for the boys basketball team. Because Battery Creek is a good basketball team on the boys' side, but so does Oceanside Collegiate. So I'm intrigued to see if Battery Creek can fight at home and maybe take a win to start out region play. Edisto at Whale Branch, region matchup there for both girls and boys. Barnwell at Bridges Prep, that is a region matchup as well, girls and boys. Bridges Prep will be one of those teams who plays scrappy and can get up on you if you're not careful. Allendale Fairfax at Hardyville, girls and boys basketball. Hardyville looking to get back on track after what was for them really an abysmal tournament at the Bluffton Holiday Classic, the Bobcat Holiday Classic, which is what they call it. So they're 2-0 already in region play. So we'll see what they can do, see if they can go 3-0 to start out their region play. Ridgeland will be at Royal Live Oaks. That's both girls and boys. Should be an easy win for Ridgeland there. And for Hardyville, I expect Hardyville to win the boys game. Girls game, I feel bad for Hardyville girls team because they're just so young. And I just don't expect a whole lot out of them. And then that's it for region games. Two other games for girls basketball: St. John's Christian at Hilton Head Prep and Cross Schools at Andrew Jackson Academy on Friday night. And then as we get into Saturday, a couple girls games and a couple boys games. May River at Hardyville and Hilton Head Prep at Battery Creek for girls basketball, and JP2 at Bethesda for boys basketball. That could be very interesting. For some afternoon games, especially over at the Ville. And that will be it for this upcoming week of games. Quite a few interesting ones. I'm very intrigued by that Hilton Head Bluffton game. I think it's going to be one heck of a ball game between them. And then the other one for girls basketball, Beaufort at Colleton County. Those are probably the top two teams outside of Bishop England in the region. And so I'm intrigued to see those two teams go at it. Oceanside at Battery Creek on Friday. That's going to be a great game, I think. Any other good ones? Not really. There's some very interesting games, but that Hilton Head Bluffton for boys basketball, Beaufort at Colleton girls basketball. Oh yeah, Bishop England at May River boys basketball is also a good one. And then, of course, Oceanside at Battery Creek boys basketball game is going to be very interesting as well. So a lot going on that Friday. So that's it for high school basketball. Let's get into some USCB basketball. They were back playing yesterday at Clayton State in Morrow, Georgia. Women's basketball couldn't get it done yesterday afternoon. 46-51 score in favor of Clayton State. They had their chances to come back in this ball game. They just couldn't get over the hump against Clayton State. Had a slow start to the first half, but picked it up in the second half, trying to make it a ball game, but just couldn't get the job done. Some of the stats from the game: Janiah Hayward with 14 points, 4 steals, a block, and 5 rebounds. So really good for her. But on the downside, 7 turnovers for her in the game. That's not a great thing to see. But otherwise, she did pretty good. 7 of 10 from the field in 31 minutes. Really good for her. Tanaya Bowman playing some good basketball again. 13 points, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. The sad part was here is again 9 turnovers for Tanaya Bowman. So looking at this game, seems like turnovers were an issue for USCB. Overall, they had 27 turnovers in the game. Just not a great thing to see. It looks like it was a very defensive game A very, very tough defense is going at it. Lydia Gatosi, 11 points, 3 steals, um, 7 rebounds, and pretty good for Lydia Gatosi. And then Madison Self with 4 points, a steal, and 6 rebounds. So good job from those 4 players there. Um, anyone who's on this list that I'm almost surprised that they didn't have a great game. Um, no, not really. I mean, it is what it is. So um, hopefully they'll have a better game on their next game, which we'll talk about in a second. Boys, on the other hand, they look back and ready to go. Getting a 20-point win, 102 to 82, the final score. Granted, Clayton State's 1-13 on the year after this loss, so granted, Peach Belt Conference, you never know what's going to happen, but Clayton State, obviously the bottom of the conference. Clear to see why this game ended up being a 20-point game. It probably could have been more. Evan Kilminster, 13 points, 1 steal, 1 assist, 4 rebounds. Nolan Baladugu had a good game, 12 points, 1 assist. Really good showing for him in 22 minutes. Kevon Price, 10 points, 1 steal, 3 rebounds. Pretty good game for him. Dominic Eason, not the best of games I've seen from him, but 8 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 8 rebounds. I said 8 rebounds already. Dylan Lewis, 1.1 block, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Anyone here? Quan Anderson had 17 points, 1 steal, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Pretty good game for him. Ismail Rashid, 13 points, 1 assist. Good game for him. Hudson Norton had a good game as well, 11 points, 1 assist. 11 points and 3 rebounds. And good scoring all around from most of this team. Dominic didn't have the best of games, 4 of 10 from the field. I expect him to do a little bit better. The other thing is he was 0 of 4 from the 3-point from 3. So that's not great for Dominic Geeson, but he'll get back on track. So I'm not really worried. But really good game by them. I mean, they outscored him in both halves. Oh, excuse me, didn't outscore him in both halves. Clayton State just edged USCB, but USCB had a 57-36 lead at the half. All they had to do was score 45 points and make it a done deal, really, to get the 20-point win. That puts USCB now at 9-4, 3-3 in Peach Belt play. I think that 3-3 record is going to be a lot better a month from now. So I'm not worried about this USCB team. They're playing well, and I'm not really worried about the women's team either. They're going to fight in Peach Belt play. So upcoming games for them on Wednesday. They are back at home for the first time since December. Flagler will come and play USCB. Women's at 5:30. Men's start at 7:30, pending the women's game doesn't go to overtime or runs late, which it usually does. So expect 7:30, but expect later than 7:30 for their first home game of the new year. And then on Saturday, they are on the road again at Columbus State. Should be good ones between the women's and men's games. USCB women's at 1:30, men's at 3:30. Should be some good games. And then they are again on the road next Wednesday at Georgia Southwestern, who's been playing some good basketball on both men's and women's teams. And we'll get to that when it comes along. So that's the upcoming schedule for USCB. Finally get a home game, and then we will not see them at home until the 17th, 10 days later, for what is going to be a big one. North Georgia is coming to town to take on the Sand Sharks on the 17th. So that should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that game when it comes around. So that's the upcoming schedule for USCB. Yeah, I think that's about it for local games, local teams. It's basketball season, full swing. So, all right, what next? Let's talk some college football. Quarterfinals took place over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Get up the scores here for it. So Oregon gets the win over number 4 Texas Tech 23 to nothing. Uh, Indiana thumps Alabama 38-3. Ole Miss gets a great Sugar Bowl win over Georgia. Fantastic game, just really fun to watch. And then Miami gets a 24-14 win over Ohio State, and they had control of the entire game. So the semifinals are set for January 9th. Uh, Indiana will play Oregon. Ole Miss will play Miami. And winners will go and play a national championship game, which is interesting for Miami's case because it's at their home stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. So there is a chance that if Miami beats Ole Miss, Miami will be at home for the national championship game, which I think would be really cool, actually. And I think we know who would have the advantage in that one, if that does happen to be the case. And then a really good game for the Peach Bowl, Indiana against Oregon. These two teams have played already this year. I'm trying to see. I believe the Ducks' one loss was to Indiana, 30-20. Back in, when was that game? Sorry, I got a video playing. Um, Back in October 11th. Um, Indiana was up by 3 at halftime, and then just kind of rolled away, scoring 17 points in the second half to beat Oregon. So that is Oregon's sole loss. So this should be a really good game between those two teams. Interestingly enough, Indiana's favored at 4, at -4. They're favored. Miami at 3.5 over Ole Miss. Very shocking to see that number there. I would have expected Ole Miss to have the better, um, over under. So very interesting there. They favor Miami at 3.5 at the Fiesta Bowl, and then the Peach Bowl. Indiana's favored at 4. So very interesting. Very interesting to see those. Now let's look over the quarterfinals. The one question I think everyone's asking is, who would you be more disappointed in, Alabama or Ohio State? It's a good question. Um, and to be honest, I've been having to think about this before I came on the show, and I'm just thinking, who would I be more disappointed in? And so let's go over the things, the reasons why we're asking this question. New Year's Eve, Ohio State, Miami in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl. And from the start, Miami had the advantage the entire time. They were in control of that game. And it's just, you look at it. I mean, Miami had a 14. Uh, Sorry, I have these videos on ESPN keep playing. Um, they had a 14-0 lead. Ohio State in the third quarter tried to get back in this ball game. You know, it was a 17-7 game in the third quarter. You go in the fourth quarter, Miami or Ohio State scores a touchdown to make it a 17-14 ball game. And then Miami just ran the ball down the field, wasted enough time on the clock to basically end it right then and there, scored a touchdown late in the ball game to make it a 10-point game. And at that point, there was no chance for Ohio State to come back. But Miami had control the entire game. And for Ohio State, the reason it's disappointing is you are probably the most talented team in the entire college football playoffs. I mean, you are one of the teams, you are one of the national championship favorites for this playoffs, if not the favorite for the national championship. You lose to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, which was a fantastic game. So the step was, what do we learn from this loss? How do we play better? You go into a game against Miami, who you should have beaten. That Miami team's good, but you have A great quarterback in Julian Sand. B, probably the most talented wide receiver core in the country, in all of college football. You have the best wide receiver core in all of college football, period, which is led by a sophomore in Jeremiah Smith, who is not just a sophomore, he's a super sophomore. That dude is unreal for a sophomore. Unreal. And you could not get anything going. And for the other thing is this, the defense, which has been one of the most stout defenses in the country this entire season, you have been basically for the entire season the consensus number one. Your offense has been firing on all cylinders. The defense was firing on all cylinders. The defense has been one of the top defenses in the country this season, especially against the run. You know, and the thing was against the run. I mean, they struggled in terms of rushing. I mean, they allowed 153 rushing yards that game. Ohio State had 45 rushing yards as a whole. Well, I guess actually, now that I think about it, if you're including sacks into rushing, which I guess you would, Julian Sand had minus 42 yards in rushing. So that's on just sacks. So, yeah, I mean, look, 45 rushing yards. And even if you took those 45 out, you still didn't have as much as Miami did. Now, receiving, clearly they're the best in the country in Ohio State when it comes to receiving. I mean, 287 yards as a collective. But 287 for that receiving core is not very high. I mean, Smith, 7 receptions, 157 yards, average 22 a catch, and had a touchdown. But it was the rest of the group. Carnell Tate, 3 receptions for 37. Brandon Innes, 4 receptions for 34. CJ Donaldson, 5 for 31. And Will Kakmarek. I don't know. 3 receptions for 28. 287 as a whole is not usually Ohio State. Like, usually it's way more than that. So I think for me, it was really frustrating to see Ohio State. By the way, Julian Sand had 2 interceptions in that game. So, and that last interception, that second one he had, basically sealed the game for Miami. Now, on the other hand, you have Alabama. And here's the thing for me. Alabama for me, this entire year, I mean, you look at their schedule. Now, it's a very difficult schedule. A lot of ranked teams in here. You had some great wins. I mean, you beat Georgia during the regular season by 3. You beat the 16th ranked Vanderbilt. You beat 14th ranked Missouri at the time. You beat 11th ranked Tennessee. Then you beat, at the time, 11th ranked Oklahoma. Or no, you lost Oklahoma in the regular season. I'm sorry. I mean, you had some ranked wins there. I mean, it was a good season and all, but you for Alabama standards, it wasn't really good. Alabama is not Alabama fans, I will say this, Alabama fans do not, you know, they don't judge you on how many 10-win seasons they have. They judge you on how many national championships you have as a team, as a coach for Kalen DeBoer. That's what they're going to judge you on. How many national championships you have. And the thing is, Kalen DeBoer, if that's the case, he may not be the answer. But let me remind everyone, and I still think Alabama should not have been in the playoffs. Despite them beating Oklahoma in Norman, I still think I would have taken them out and put Notre Dame in. I still would have done that. And the reason is because while they had a decent season, I wasn't impressed by them at all. And usually despite me hating Alabama with a burning passion, I'm always impressed with how they play. And this season was one of the first seasons where I just was not really impressed with how they played, especially with how they started the season when they lost to a Florida State team 31-17 to start out the year. And by the way, Florida State went on to have a 5-7 season. Now, Indiana is legit. They're legit. Legit. But still, for you to not score a single touchdown in this game, and I know, Ty Simpson was injured. Didn't really come in during didn't come in the second half whatsoever. It was Austin Mack's game. Austin Mack hadn't had a lot of experience starting, or if any. And he did all right. He went 11 of 16 for 103, but it wasn't enough. And before Ty Simpson was pulled, he was 12 of 16 for 67. But here's what scares me the most about this team. They could not run the ball at all. I mean, as a whole, 23 yards rushing as a team compared to Indiana's 215. 215. Receiving, Alabama, 170 yards. Not bad. Indiana, 192. Also, not bad. But that 192, the reason it's different is because out of those 192 yards, they got 3 touchdowns from it. And Fernando Mendoza was damn near perfect. 14 of 16. And let me say this again. That Indiana team is legit. But if you're Alabama, you can't help but wonder if this would have been a closer game. Indiana scored 17 points in the second quarter. This was Alabama's worst loss since the 90s. The 90s. And if I'm being honest, I can tell you right now, Alabama fans are thinking whether or not Kalen DeBoer is the answer for the future of, Crimson Tide football. They're questioning all of it right now. And like I said, for Kalen DeBoer, if you're going to remain the coach at Alabama, let me remind you again, you are not going to be judged off of how many 10-win seasons you have. You're going to be judged off of how many national championships you have. And that's just, that's the unfortunate part of it. That's the unfortunate part. So the answer for me is who was more disappointing, Alabama or Ohio State? I'm going to say Ohio State because I don't think, even with Alabama in these playoffs, I did not have Alabama as someone who was a national championship hopeful. Not in this tournament. Not a chance. Now, let's say you beat Indiana. You are either going to go up against Oregon or Texas Tech. And I still think they probably would have lost against either Oregon. I still think they would have lost to Oregon. Texas Tech, I don't know. But I still think Ohio State was the most disappointing one for me. And to be honest, which is why the title of this show is I did not see that coming at all, is I did not see how bad Alabama was going to lose in this one. I thought this was going to be a dogfight game between two really good teams. And Alabama got thumped. But I'm still more disappointed in what also I did not see coming at all is that Ohio State game. And now people are probably asking themselves again, is Ryan Day still the answer? Well, I mean, look, last year you lost to Michigan. You won a national championship. This year you beat Michigan, and then you lost 2 straight games. I still think Ryan Day is the answer, but inconsistencies have been an issue, especially before he won a national championship when Michigan was pounding on him every time they played each other. You know, during the days of Jim Harbaugh and his staff full of, what's the word, criminals who were doing some real stupid things that were getting them in trouble with college, with the NCAA. And yet they were still thumping on Ohio State. And, you know, that's before they won a national championship. But everybody remembers after they lost to Michigan last year, people were calling for their heads, including me. I won't deny it. I was calling for his head. I did not think they were going to ever win a national championship last year. They proved me wrong. They proved me wrong. But this year, you beat Michigan, and then you lose 2 straight games with one of the most talented teams in the country. And you lost 2 in a row. It's disappointing. And it's why I think my answer to the question is who's more disappointing, Alabama or Ohio State? I got to go with Ohio State in this one. Now, the game of the quarterfinals was that Ole Miss Georgia game at the All-State Sugar Bowl. And boy, was it something special. Great job by both quarterbacks. Gunnar Stockton, 203 yards, 18 of 31, you know, and a passing touchdown and a touchdown. So good from him. But Trinidad Chambliss, that dude is a stud. And I honestly cannot wait to see if anyone would decide to take this kid when he becomes eligible for the draft. And he's a senior this year, mind you. Someone's going to pick up Trinidad Chambliss, and I honestly think he looks ready for the NFL. That's my opinion. Trinidad Chambliss looks so good. 30 of 46, 362 yards, average 7, around 8 yards per pass, and a 90.6 QBR. He was good. Rushing game for both teams, actually pretty solid. Q and Lacey, 98 yards for Ole Miss, one of the top running backs in the country, by the way. 98 yards on 22 carries. Chambliss had 14 yards on 4 carries. And then you look at Georgia's rushing, which really, I think, was one of the main reasons they stayed in the ball game. Nate Frazier, 15 carries for 86 yards. Gunnar Stockton had 20 yards on 13 carries. You know, Cash Jones, 11 yards. Chauncey Bowens, 10 yards. You know, really good from them. And you look at the receiving game. I mean, 362 and 219 for Georgia, 362 for Ole Miss. Harrison Wallace, 9 receptions for 156 yards. Dejon Stribling, 7 receptions, 122 yards for Ole Miss. It's pretty good. Both of them were averaging right around 17 and a half yards. Ooh, excuse me. 17 and a half yards per catch. And Harrison Wallace had a passing touchdown. Had a receiving touchdown, excuse me. You look at the other side. Zachariah Branch for Georgia, fantastic. 8 receptions, 67 yards, a touchdown. Cash Jones, 2 receptions, 45 yards. Nate Frazier, 3 receptions for 42 yards. So they were both all over the field. Colby Young, 3 receptions, 22 yards. They had a lot of guys who were, impacting the game. The defense, though, for both teams. Ole Miss, 2 sacks. Georgia defense, 3 sacks. Ole Miss, 9 tackles for loss. Georgia, 3 tackles. 3 tackles for loss? No. Yeah, 3 tackles for loss. Oh, that's interesting. Georgia did not have a sack that entire game. Sorry, I thought it said 3 sacks. That was 3 tackles for loss for Georgia. Interesting. Xavier Harris, by the way, 10 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, a tackle for loss as well for Ole Miss. Pretty impressive. Really impressive. And this was just an all-around. This is a game that's going to be remembered for years to come. All-time classic. And one of the best CFP quarterfinal games I've ever seen. It was so much fun to watch. Such a good game. And honestly, hats off to Ole Miss. It's funny. I saw, and I'm sure everyone else who's an Ole Miss fan saw that Lane Kiffin commented after the game. It's like, great win, boys. 2 more to go. I'm like, dude, shut up. Just shut up. Go focus on the team you decided to leave in the middle of the season for. I would love to see Ole Miss win a national championship and then say, F you, Lane Kiffin. F you. Because he deserves it. And he's been known to do this before. And by the way, LSU fans, while you may be happy to have Lane Kiffin, buyers beware. For him, there's always somewhere greener to go. Somewhere better. And sometimes Lane Kiffin might leave you high and dry. High and dry. I thought that was so funny just to see Lane Kiffin posting on this stuff. I bet you all the players were like, man, screw you. Hats off to Pete Golding, by the way. He did a fantastic job coaching that team on New Year's Day. Fantastic job. It was a great way to end the college football playoff quarterfinals. And then Oregon, Texas Tech. I expected so much more out of Texas Tech in this game. But I have something that I will say about the college football playoffs as a whole, especially the quarterfinals, and I'll get to that in a second. I just expected more. I mean, Texas Tech was a team that was averaging 40-something points on offense a game. And they did not have 1 point. Not a single point. Oregon wins 23-0. I'm impressed by Oregon, and I think they're going to give Indiana a real run for their money. even with Indiana as the favorites at -4, I see Oregon making this a real good ball game. By the way, um, all of these teams, I believe both Oregon and Indiana have never won a national championship game, uh, ever. Miami has won national championships, but they have never won a CFP national championship, and neither has Ole Miss. In fact, none of these teams have made it to a CFP national championship game before, except for Oregon. Except for Oregon, but that was after, or excuse me, before they even got to a 12-team playoffs. It was the first year of the 4-team playoff, and then they ended up losing to Ohio State in the national championship game. But the rest of them have never been this far in the playoffs before. Ole Miss has never been to a CFP semifinals. Indiana, not even close. Miami, no. So all of these teams are looking for their first CFP national championship. Pretty impressive and very fun. Very fun. All right. Let's move on from college football. Although, actually, no, sorry. There's one more thing I wanted to say. And this is the one thing I feel like will change if they go to 16 teams, but I really hate it at the moment, is the record so far in 2 years of the 12-team playoff. The record for the top 4 seeds, 1-7. The one win, Indiana against Alabama on New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl. 1-7. It's not great. And it shows me that teams with a 2-week, with basically 2+ weeks of sitting around just practicing, it hurts them. And it's an issue. And it's part of why I'm not overly furious with Ohio State. I'm still disappointed in them. I'm very disappointed in them, but I'm not furiously disappointed. And the reason is because I just don't like that the top 4 seeds have to sit for 2+ weeks before they play another football game. I don't like it, but I do think that will change if they go to 16 teams. Why? Because the top 4 seeds will all have a home playoff game in the first round. 1 against 16, 2 against 15, 3 against 14, and 4 against the 13 seed. If they go to 16 teams, it will solve that whole problem. But fans are seeing it. And what it reminds me of is the MLB playoff format that's currently still going, and it's still been an issue for Major League Baseball teams, for those who have gotten buys as a top seed or top two seed. You could be the top 2 seeds and still have issues in the playoffs. The Braves have dealt with it a couple times. So have the Dodgers. And it's the same for the American League. And it's the same kind of thing. It's what it reminds me of when it comes to this current 12-team format for college football. You go to 16 games and it changes everything because you don't get a bye. You get a home playoff game. If you're the 1 through 4 seed, you get a home playoff game. And I still think that would be a fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. So I did have to say that before we move on. Now we can move on. NFL, a lot of big things going on today. Week 18, final week before playoffs. And it is getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because we have some interesting scenarios, and I'm going to get them up here if I can. Let's see. Not only for playoff, but for the draft. The NFL draft. I need the scenarios. Do we have? There was a whole thing with scenarios. Do we have what ifs? Well, I do know one what if in the NFC South. So, being that Tampa Bay beat Carolina yesterday, Carolina is now preying on the Atlanta Falcons to win because if Atlanta wins, Carolina will go to the playoffs at the NFC South division title with an NFC South division title. If the Saints win against the Falcons, it will be the Buccaneers once again going to the playoffs. And for once, I am rooting wholeheartedly for these Falcons to win, and they're currently up 6 points at the moment. But the Saints, with 5 minutes to go, are driving down the field, and they are just outside of Atlanta Falcons territory. Nope, I take that back. They're now in right outside of Atlanta's red zone with 4:40 left to go in the game. Getting dicey over in New Orleans. Do we have? I'm trying to look at scenarios. Where are these scenarios? I know they are on here somewhere. I can't find them. Let's see here. By the way, Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns got sack number 23 today to set the NFL season record for most sacks in this season. So congratulations to Myles Garrett on that one. By the way, the Browns are only down by 1 to the Bengals with 45 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and they are just outside of field goal territory. 3rd and 1 at the Cincinnati 49. Big play coming up for Cleveland here. See if they can get something done. I'll check back on that in a second. Ooh, they're now at the Cleveland 42, 2nd and 10. So very interesting there. Saints are in Falcons red zone territory right now. Interesting. Vikings beat the Packers today, 16-3. But I don't think it matters for the Packers. I think they're in at the moment. I think. By the way, Jordan Love did not play, although he was cleared from concussion protocol, but he did not play. I assume they're saving him, being that they are probably making the playoffs. Let's see what other games are going on right now. Any other final scores? Jaguars destroyed the Titans. Boy, that Jaguars team is unbelievably good. 41-7. Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 30 for 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ooh, boy. That team is scary right now. Really freaking scary. And actually, if I'm looking at this correctly, is Denver playing today? Yeah, they are. They're playing the Chargers. If they lose, I believe Jacksonville will get the top seed. I think. I think that's the case. If Jacksonville wins, which they did, if Denver loses, they already lost to Jacksonville this year. I think that would give Jacksonville the tiebreaker over Denver and get the number 1 spot. So that's very interesting there. Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears will have the 2 seed. Philadelphia at the moment has a 3 seed. They're both 11-5, but Wins tiebreaker over Philadelphia. Bears beat the Eagles, I believe, so that gives them the 2 seed. Believe it or not, the Seattle Seahawks have the number 1 seed at 14-3. How great is that to see the Seahawks playing that kind of ball? Carolina Panthers are at 8-9 right now. Tampa Bay at 8-9. If Atlanta wins the ball game today against New Orleans, that will flip flop those two, and that would mean the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be eliminated from the playoffs, and the Carolina Panthers will be in as the 4 seed and will take on probably the San Francisco 49ers for the wild card. That or they're taking, yeah, they'd take on the 49ers. Then Rams would probably play against the Eagles, which would be very interesting. And the Green Bay Packers will be playing the Chicago Bears in the first round. Big rivalry there. So interesting there. Anything else that's very interesting? Obviously, the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars. I think with Jacksonville winning today, that puts them as a division clincher, I think. Oh, wow. Ooh, interesting. Falcons must have stopped the Saints because now they are in New Orleans red zone, and New Orleans was in the Falcons red zone, but did not score any points. So there must have been an interception or something here. Let's see if we can find out. See if we can find out here. Shoo. Yep, it was an interception. D. Alford got the interception for the Falcons, so now they're in New Orleans territory at the New Orleans 20-yard line, 3rd and 4. So 3rd and 4. Looks like New Orleans called a timeout with 2:57 to go in the game. And if the Falcons they did. Field goal is good on 4th and 3. So they are now up 19. So that's a 2-score game. Falcons win this one. Panthers are in, baby. So that's a huge win. And by the way, if the Falcons do win, believe it or not, that would mean there's a 3-way tie. Obviously, the tiebreaker would go to Carolina, but there's a 3-way tie for first place in the NFC South. Who would have thought the Falcons would have an 8-9 record to finish out the year? They finished out the season on a great note. They got some great wins, including that LA Rams win. So it is now a 2-score game. Is that they are in Atlanta? I think. Giants laying a butt whooping on the Cowboys. Man, what is going on there? What is up with this one? Is Dak Prescott playing at all? No. Did he get injured? He may have gotten injured. I want to look now. He might have gotten injured, y'all. Joe Milton's in, which is the backup for Dallas. That or they're just giving Joe Milton some time. Is there maybe there's some news on this? All right, I'm going to look now. Oh, so no, he didn't get injured. They just pulled him. That's hilarious. They're down 16-10 in the first half. And since they pulled Prescott out, they are on a rout. 34-17. And by the way, the New York Giants can't get any worse than the number 2 seed in the game. So 2:46 left in that game. Let's go back to the scores here. So that's the score there. Texans on top by 2 to the Colts. 29-27. Colts have the ball at the Houston's 8-yard line, trying to get. If they do win this game, by the way, that takes the Texans out of conversation for the division title, but they will still make the playoffs as a wild card team with an 11-6 record if they lose this game. Um, and it will give the Jacksonville Jaguars the division title. And who would have thought Jacksonville was going to win the title this year? Man, they have been playing some great football. So those are the games currently going on. Any games that are final? Yes, the Browns got the win. They got the win. Let's see. Was it a game-winning field goal? Yeah, game-winning field goal from a 49 yards out. Browns win the game. They finished their season at 6-11. 2018 over the or 5-12. They finished with 5-12. Cincinnati Bengals finished 6-11. Game-winning field goal. Great win by the Browns. How did Shador do? 11-22 for Shador Sanders. No touchdowns, no interceptions, 111 yards total for him. Joe Burrow had a good game today, 29 of 39, 236, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Good, a 104.2 rating, so not bad. Shador Sanders, by the way, was sacked 6 times. So that, yeah, unfortunate for him. But they got the win on the other, but yeah, they got the win. So good win for him. And the Cleveland Browns, I think he's the future for them, if I'm being completely honest. Let's see, where are we with Falcons Saints? Saints are 3rd and 6 at the 30 at their 39-yard line, so they may have to kick back to Atlanta here. 4th and 2 at the 4-yard line for the Indianapolis Colts. Probably would go for the field goal here. I would think. That's just my opinion. I think they would go for the field goal here. They could go for it, but it's a bit risky. 2:42 left in the game, 2-point game. Games coming up today. Jets at home against the Bills. Or excuse me, Jets on the road at the Bills. Lions at the Bears. That's a big game for the Bears. They need to win. I think they don't have to win. They got the 2 seed as of right now, but if they do lose, they will probably move down to the 3 seed. And I think they'd like to have a bye for the first round. So, oh no, they wouldn't get a bye even if they were the 2 seed. So, I think I think they'd rather have the Packers at home for the first round, so I'm sure they want to get that 2nd seed. And plus, who wouldn't want to see the Packers Bears for a playoff game? Who wouldn't want to see that? Chargers at Broncos. Broncos win this game, they will secure the number 1 seed in the AFC. If they lose, I believe they would get the 2 seed. And Jaguars would get the Jacksonville Jaguars would have the 1 seed, which is crazy to think about. Chiefs at Raiders. This one's big for the Raiders. If they lose, they get the number 1 pick in the draft. So I'm sure Justin's rooting for the Chiefs to lose this game so that the Raiders don't get the number 1 pick. But if the Raiders do get the number 1 pick, poor Fernando Mendoza if he goes number 1. I don't think he's built for Las Vegas, if I'm being honest. Let's see who else is playing. Cardinals at Rams. I'm hoping the Rams win that game. They're 14.5-point favorites. By the way, Denver's 14.5-point favorites over the Chargers. That's shocking. I feel like the Chargers will give them a fight. Dolphins at Patriots. Pray the Patriots win this game. They're 13-3, by the way, as well. So let me look at this here. Maybe the Jaguars wouldn't get the 2 seed or the 3 seed. Or excuse me, no, sorry. They may not get the 1 seed. because I keep forgetting the New England Patriots are a 3-loss team as well. If they win today, Denver would move down to 3 from the 1 seed. They'd become the 3 seed. Boy, that's interesting. So if Denver loses, they go to the 3 seed if New England wins. Jaguars can get at best the 2 seed. I need to see the what if scenarios. I don't like how I don't have the scenarios and they're not giving me the scenarios for this. They don't give me the scenarios. I don't like that. Shame on ESPN. Ooh, Saints have just made it a 2-point game with 1:11 to go in the fourth, 19-17. And the Colts kicked the field goal, so it's a 30-29 game at the 2-minute warning. With Houston moving down the field, they are still in their territory, a 2nd and 3 after the 2-minute warning. I hate the scenarios here, but I am pretty sure. So if Denver and New England loses, See, here's the thing. Jacksonville has a tiebreaker over Denver. But do they have the tiebreaker over New England? Have they even played each other this year? They have not played each other this year. That makes it a little interesting. Do they play Denver? Boy, how in the world have those three teams have not played each other this year? Except Denver played Jacksonville, but New England has not played either team this year. That's interesting. I'm wondering. I'm now really wondering about the whole playoff scenario. If both teams went out, the playoffs would remain as it is. Denver would have the 1, New England would have the 2, Jacksonville will have the 3, and then the 4 seed comes into play because, if I'm not mistaken, if Baltimore beats Pittsburgh, Baltimore gets the 4 seed, but if Pittsburgh wins, they hold on to the 4 seed. So there's a battle there. Yeah. So interesting there. But we'll talk about all of that on Monday for the Loco Sports Lowdown with myself, Justin Jarrett, Wes Kerr, and Marcus Walsh. I think that's going to do it from us here. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank the viewers for keeping us going and growing. I do have a question for a commenter, Junior. I don't know who they're going to hire. And for those of you who don't know, May River is the head coach for football, or former head coach, I guess. He resigned. That was I'm drawing a blank on names today. Am I seriously drawing a blank on his name? I feel so bad. Bonneville, Richard Bonneville. Sorry, Richard Bonneville, the head coach for May River, resigned. I don't know who they're going to hire. It'll be interesting to see who they do hire, and if he brings a whole nother aspect to change the way they run the offense, because they had that like that wing like that T wing kind of offense, the very fast paced triple option kind of look. Uh, they may change it, and it could bring some intrigue, especially because the offense it wasn't a multi-dimensional offense. You knew what you were getting out of them. There was no passing game. And if there was a passing game, quarterback really couldn't throw all that well. So we'll see what happens. But I honestly don't know who they're going to hire. It's a great question, though. And it's one that leads to whether or not you want to hire from within the area or out of area. Who knows? But we'll talk about that eventually when it comes around, and who, when they make a decision on who to hire. It should come soon. It's going to have to come soon, especially. Um, I think it will be within the next month and a half. I think it's got to be at least by March when they make a decision on who the next head coach is. So we're not that far away from them making the decision. It should happen, I think, within the next month and a half to 2 months. Um, so yeah, so we'll see. But that's going to do it for us here on the Mad Max Logo Recap. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and helping us here at Loco Sports continue to go and grow. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching. This has been the Mad Max Loco Recap. And until next time, go Loco.